right, and welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 5 of Arcanum Unbounded, where we are finishing off Mistborn, A Secret History. We're doing all of part 6, which is called Hero. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Mythic.
Hola.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Darkness is a little sick, so if he talks a little less than usual, that is why his voice is dying.
I'm just tired,
Yeah, he's a little sick, but he's being great. He's still showing up.
Yeah, I wish he didn't, but
Wow, you just want to keep holding out on this one story for weeks.
Oh no, I figured we could just do the podcast, me and you, and just completely.
I mean, me and Darkness could have just done it last week without you.
You really could have, honestly.
I would have felt bad because like Mistborn's like one of your favorite things with the whole Kelsier stuff.
We could have just added a AI voice Mythic.
We could have, honestly. Or you know what we could have done is you guys could have recorded it, and then me and Midnight could record it later, and we could just dub in my parts.
Yeah,
that's a lot of editing.
That would be a lot of editing.
I mean, she's good at it. She's got it.
It takes me forever to edit these fucking videos, dude.
No, it's not like she ever takes a long time to do stuff she's supposed to do,
Alright. I mean, I'm surprised she got her notes done,
It's because I got them done last week. Just in case.
She had 2 whole weeks for it.
I actually already started on next week's notes because I had time.
Oh,
so I'm very excited. I'm gonna be all on top of things for next
I'm
week.
stopping the podcast just so
heard her now.
Relevant.
No.
You heard her now. She's ahead of things. But when it comes to the next Sunday and she's like, I'm finishing my notes.
No, I'll be done before next Sunday.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't know.
Alright, let's go into it though. Chapter 1 of Part 6. Kelsier gets back to the mainland and notices that things have changed drastically. The oceanside town had seemed to slide into the ocean, and the other towns he came across seemed deserted. Large hills of ash also spotted the landscape. He then sees a group of 3 Ska huddled together when a roof collapses on them, causing them to come into the cognitive realm. However, Preservation does not show up to greet them, like he normally would. One of the Ska mistakes him for the Lord Ruler before saying it's all ending and disappearing. So what do you think about the fact that Preservation is no longer meeting every single person who dies?
Well, he's
dead.
Dying, or is dead, yeah. I was thinking when that happened, I was like, imagine dying and all you see is, Kelsier. You're supposed to, one of
your God. Your God. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's what I thought, too. I was like, damn. I'm surprised they don't come here being like, oh, Kelsier! My God!
The reaction was so
yeah, they were like, eh.
Yeah.
I would have been so fucking disappointed in these people.
To be fair, I doubt they knew what the fuck was happening, so.
I mean, they died. They're finally getting to move on.
They moved on very fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were like,
they're not
bye.
Elementers. Because only people
Oh,
with
is that why?
yeah, only people with investiture
Yeah.
stay longer. So normal people who don't have ferochemy, hemalurgy, or allomancy just kind of are only there for a few seconds before moving on.
Well, how do you say normal people?
It's like,
I mean,
that theory I have where, they get consumed and stuff by, let's say, a god, you only eat, your snacks are only there for a couple seconds, compared to a meal.
You eat them too fast,
That's true.
It's just like your snacks.
It's like if you compare it to chocolate, it's like the normal people are chocolate chips. It's like little tiny chocolate chips where you eat them quickly, and then people with investiture, just a whole chocolate bar. It takes you a while to eat them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I use that chocolate bar instantly.
You just swallow it whole.
Gone. Just gone.
Okay.
Midnight.
Yeah?
I'm sure you could go into competitive chocolate eating.
Ah, really?
Look, I don't need to get any fatter, okay? Anyways, Kelsier continues running, worried that Preservation was already dead. He runs for weeks until he hears Preservation say his name. Preservation urges him to come to Fadrik's city, although Kelsier isn't truly sure where he is at the moment due to all the ash changing the landscape. He glances around and eventually notes a mountain that he recognizes and begins heading south towards Fadrik's, and finds the first truly alive city he had seen since returning. He also notices Ruin here, but doesn't see Preservation until he finds a thin, hair-like strand of light. Kelsier has the thread of Preservation touch the orb that he's carrying so that he doesn't reveal it to Ruin, but Ruin doesn't seem to think it can help. But Preservation doesn't seem to think it can help, not Ruin. Preservation also mentions Vin and how he can't reach her. Kelsier is then led to a square with a bunch of beggars, and he recognizes one as the Drifter. The Drifter seems to look at him, but otherwise doesn't acknowledge Kelsier. Then Vin arrives on a nearby rooftop, and Kelsier immediately goes to her, trying to tell her to not talk to the Drifter. He doesn't think Vin can hear him, but she seems to angle her head and then leap away from the Drifter. Kelsier isn't sure if she heard him or if it was just coincidence. So what do you think about the fact that Kelsier was the reason that Vin didn't speak to Hoyd in the third book?
Was he the reason though?
Seems like he might have been the reason.
No, Vin is just smart like that, you know. No, but like, I don't know. Would it have changed anything?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what she would have talked about with
Hoyd would have totally told. Yeah, Hoyd would have totally told her about the entire plot and everything going on, and the whole story would be totally different.
Honestly, Hoyd
Maybe
probably
he
just
would
would have
have-
told her a weird story, and she would have been like, "I don't understand what you're talking about."
Goodbye.
Sprinkle some sand around.
He pulls up with the. Oh yeah, I fist fought Kelsier recently, you know.
Oh my god.
He's like, "Oh yeah, Kelsier's doing great. I like really punched him a lot. It was fun."
Why was he still there?
Hoyd?
Yeah.
I mean, Hoyd specifically came to the physical realm here. Like,
Yep.
he wasn't going to leave Scadrial. If he was going to leave Scadrial, he would have not come through the well.
Am I tripping?
Because you travel to other places, like, through the cognitive realm, not through the physical
Right.
realm.
You're doing something, but
Right, but like, what did he take from the well again?
He took
A
a
bead.
bead, the Lerasium bead.
Okay, so why didn't he just grab it and leave?
He
That's what
didn't,
was
he
there
didn't come
for.
back through the well. He obviously wanted to stick around for a bit. We don't know his reasonings. He hasn't said
Because he
anything.
was already at the well. If he
Yeah.
wanted to leave, he could have just left.
Yeah, because he could have just gone back through the well, but he didn't. He decided to stick around for some reason.
you wanted to see how this ends, or maybe he's looking for the shards.
He's trying to meet Harmony or whatever it is.
He's trying to meet Hope. Yeah.
Hope.
No, Hope is Kelsier. He's already met him.
Oh yeah, you're right. He already met Hope. Yeah.
I am Hope.
Yeah. The only thing left in Pandora's box.
So Kelsier follows Vin, preservation giving him a bit of power so that he's fast enough to do so, and notices that she seems to notice him following her as she is jumping around trying to lose him. However, just as they reach the edge of the city, Ruin descends upon Kelsier. As he stops, he sees that Ruin has sent a mist spirit after Vin to replace Kelsier in the chase. Ruin then forms into the red-haired man and asks Kelsier where he had been. Kelsier says he'd just been seeing the sights, but Ruin guesses that Kelsier had been to see the Eyrie, but then guesses that they had sent Kelsier away. So what do you think about the fact that the person that Vin felt using Allomancy was technically Kelsier at the start through that chase in Fadrix, but then Ruin took over?
Doesn't shock me. I told you, Kelsier's a god.
Kelsier's.
He's Hope.
I'm still on that.
Yep.
No,
Ruin
but like,
oh,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I don't know. I just like, I was just trying to figure out like what dictates him to be able to do that. You know?
Dictate to him do what? Have Allomancy?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, technically, I would say it would probably be the fact that he can do literally anything because he's a god.
I think you need
Oh,
I
okay.
think he might need a physical body so that he's physically able to burn the metals.
I don't know. He didn't need a physical fire to make fire, so
You know, that's not wrong.
He didn't really create fire though. He took a fire that was already there. Actually,
So
he
what,
didn't, no, he
he-
convinced it to become fire. didn't
yeah.
he?
I was gonna say,
It was a
yeah,
non-burning.
I
Yeah,
was
sorry.
gonna say
He convinced it to
he-
become fire.
he made fire come to life in this world.
But you could be fire.
Yeah, you can do it. You can have hope that you can be fire.
You see, I wouldn't be able to do any of this shit because my thoughts would literally turn against myself, and I'd be like, "You can be fire. I can be fire."
just
You
you
know,
just burst into
I am
flame.
the Human Torch. I don't have to think about pain. I don't have to feel pain if I don't think about it. Sweet. All right. Well,
I
I'm
am
just never
pain.
gonna be. Yeah, I'm just. Oh my god! I can only imagine that. I am pain. Oh my god! Why am I in so much pain?
Yeah. Even in death, you have depression because you remember being depressed. You just feel like you should
Kelsier
be.
is not death. I am the cognitive realm.
You are the clock.
Alright, so Ruin then confirms that he was behind the rumors of the 11th metal, and Kelsier tells Ruin to leave Vin alone, but Ruin replies that Vin is his, just like Kelsier had been his. He also tells Kelsier...
Mine.
He also tells
He's
Kelsier...
very possessive.
He is. He's very possessive of everyone. He's like, you are mine. Vin is mine. Everyone is mine.
Yet he wants to ruin
It's-
everything. That's
Right? It's kind of weird for someone that doesn't want to preserve them, you know?
Well, but they're his.
You're mine, and I will destroy you. It's like
can't
those
destroy
moms.
yourself.
It's like those moms that threaten you. They're like, "I brought you into this world. I can take you out
Well,
of
I
it."
take you out of it. Yeah, love that.
That's Ruin. Ruin's the toxic
I do
parent.
wonder. Every time I hear that, I do wonder. Like, oh, really? So what are you gonna do? Shove me back inside? Like,
Oh
I'm a
god.
little old now. That wouldn't go so well for you.
I don't think you'd handle that very well.
Yeah.
This gonna sound dark, but I
Okay.
would usually respond with like, "I can too," you know.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I think I would usually just
I don't
reply with "Go ahead, try."
Oh,
know. I mean, it implies that they're either gonna murder you or somehow unborn you.
Unbirth.
Unborn, yeah,
Unbirth.
unbirth you all of a sudden. I gave birth to you. I can ungive birth to you.
Just
Like,
they start doing that fucking thing from Doctor Strange where he like goes back in time and shit.
Just
yep,
because
it's like,
they just have like a vacuum vagina. Just
oh
like
my God.
vacuums
Oh,
you
right back
Oh
in.
my god!
Anyways.
You just hear like the blender noise.
Just oh my god.
This did not turn out how I thought it would.
Anyways.
Hey,
Anyways. He also tells Kelsier that it had always been in his plan for Kelsier to recruit Vin and for them to kill the Lord Ruler. Kelsier then says the only original thing he has is style, and then tries to punch Ruin in the face. However, Ruin just dissipates and then reforms behind Kelsier. Ruin then stabs Kelsier with his black spikes, causing Kelsier to scream and feel like he was being stretched away forcefully. Ruin eventually goes back into the sky and says that nothing is ever really destroyed, it's just changed and broken down into something else. Once Ruin is gone, Kelsier can get back to his knees, and Preservation tells Kelsier that he deserved it. Kelsier agrees, but says it was worth the attempt.
Yep.
So were you worried that Ruin was going to kill Kelsier here, or at least injure him in some way?
nope.
No,
Because Kelsier's a god.
Kelsey's on his knees all the time.
Oh God.
Oh gosh.
Oh, Kelsier.
Not the whole Kelsey.
So, chapter 2 of part 6. Over the next few days, Kelsier tries to get Vin to hear him again, but Ruin keeps stopping him from getting near her. He watches as Ruin leads Vin away from the camp one day to distract her as the Koloss are attacked. What really surprises Kelsier, though, is that he sees people's souls appear when the Koloss die. A variety of Ska and nobles, both male and female. Kelsier tries to speak with them, but they all just seem confused and disappear quickly. However, he sees that one of the souls is an obligator, and he quickly goes up to the man, who complains that the Koloss took him and that they should have known better. The only answer he gives Kelsier about how he is there is one word: spikes. So what do you think about Kelsier seeing all these individual souls of the people that became Koloss?
For some reason, I thought of those Russian dolls.
You just
Oh,
open it
that,
up, there's a bunch of little people inside.
Yeah.
Yep, little Kelsiers,
Oh, it was pretty basic. Like he pretty much like figured it out anyway. He's like, they're made of all those people, which would have been helpful if we knew that in the real world or whatever. But
Yeah. They figure out eventually.
eventually,
I think it's actually pretty soon after this point, because this is when like Vin comes back and she's like, "Hey,
Still
human, tell me how to
still
make
wondering
more."
why. I'm still wondering why human, didn't rise up and destroy everyone.
Kelsier soon sees small spikes littering the ground near dead Koloss corpses. On the living ones, they were hard to make out because of the way the souls also glowed. He then tries to speak to the Koloss, and they seem to be able to hear him slightly like madmen do. Kelsier asks Preservation if Ruin has his fingers in everything, which Preservation agrees, and then shows Kelsier images of Inquisitors listening to Ruin, Vin in Ruin's shadow, a man on the throne of Luthadel, Spook being whispered to by Ruin in Kelsier's own voice, and his brother along with dozens of others. Kelsier says that they are doomed, but Preservation reminds him that he is hope. He then says to trust in Vin and his plan.
I am hope.
Preservation states that Ruin's weakness is that of all clever men, that he thinks Ruin's weakness is that of all clever men. He thinks that he knows more than he actually does. Kelsier then asks Preservation to explain his plan and declares that Preservation is the crew leader since he is a god, which Preservation is glad that Kelsier has finally acknowledged him being a god, that being a god means something. So do you agree that Ruin's main weakness is that he thinks he knows more than he actually does?
Yes.
well, yeah, he's human.
Pride. Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, he's
can't
like
be a god like Kelsier, so.
He's like, everything will always go my way, and then Vin's like, yeah, I'm not telling you where the ATM is. And he's like, you bitch! You were supposed to tell me!
Why won't you tell me? Why won't you tell me? What the hell?
So Preservation then tells Kelsier that he cannot be saved, but that Kelsier needs to free Vin from Ruin and give her his power. He also tells Kelsier to tell Vin not to trust anyone pierced by metal. Kelsier says it's easy and thinks that he just needs to figure out a way past Ruin. Chapter 3. We move to Kelsier trying to tell...
I'm sorry, but if Ruin got Preservation's power, right, would it merge with his own power, or would he just have both powers?
I think Ruin's plan was just to, like, kill Preservation, just have, like, it be kind of, like, all fucked up like Dominion and Devotion on Cell, and not actually have, like, a proper, like, vessel and consciousness with it anymore. Like, I don't think he meant to, like, merge their powers or anything.
So he didn't want the power at all?
No, I don't think he wanted the power. He just wanted to be free of Preservation.
Yeah, then he wanted his
so he
own
was like,
power back.
Fuck that guy, you know?
Yeah, because the thing was, if he basically stopped Preservation and was able to, like, destroy Scadrial, I think as Chris tells Kelsier, basically Ruin... Chris was the woman, the
oh yeah, and with the pew pew.
Yeah, with the gun. Yeah, she basically says, like, Ruin could leave to other planets if Scadrial's destroyed, because he won't be, like, trapped on it anymore. So Ruin could go and fuck up other places.
Why didn't they just, like, hold hands and travel the worlds together? Like,
because Ruin didn't want that.
There was just so many years where they could have just been, you know, on vacation.
Oh, we could have been honeymooning in somewhere else, you know?
On the moon!
I don't think they have a moon.
One of the planets has to.
Yeah, Scadrial doesn't, though.
Wait, if they don't have a moon?
Yeah.
What do they see at night?
I mean, there's mist at night. They see nothing at night.
So it's just, like, literally pure darkness.
It's just darkness and mist, yeah.
Does the mist illuminate?
No. It's very dark.
So it's just darkness?
Yeah. The Alamancers, though, when they use tin, they can see the stars, they say. But there's no moon.
Wait, when they use tin?
Yeah, when tin lets them see better through the mist.
Right.
So they can enhance their eyesight and then see through the mist. So they can see the starlight when using tin.
Okay.
But yeah, so Chapter 3, we move to Kelsier trying to tell a sleeping man to let Vin know not to trust anyone pierced by metal, and that it's a message from the survivor. He had spent days finding someone who was open to hearing him, but that wasn't mad enough that people wouldn't listen to him. He gets excited when Midge, which is the man, starts talking to others, but when he touches Midge to listen in, he's very disappointed to hear Midge saying that the survivor said he's special and not to listen to anyone else. So what do you think about Kelsier's failed attempt to get someone to give a message to Vin?
I got so upset at that motherfucker, bro. Oh my god.
Well, he gets executed, so...
Yeah.
Oh, so justice was served.
Wait, Chelsea wasn't there for that, right?
No, I don't think he sees him get executed.
Because that would have been hilarious if he just went to, like...
just shows up. He sees a survivor! Why did I get executed? You said I was special. He's like, no, you fucking idiot! That's not what I told you.
That would have been hilarious.
So a fight starts, and Kelsier reluctantly watches. Ruin then appears, touching Kelsier's shoulder and saying that Kelsier had been doing good work for him. Kelsier sees one of the men punch Demo in the face, and Ellen comes over. Kelsier asks where Vin is, and Ruin replies that he has her away somewhere. Ruin then leaves. So what do you think about it being Kelsier's fault that Demo got punched? Technically.
He had it coming anyway.
Kelsier
That's what he gets for... Oh, sorry. But that's what he gets for being, you know, the spy conjure.
Kelsier sighs and thinks that he can't do anything in this group while Vin and Ellen are watched by Ruin. He wonders if he can get through to Sazed or Marsh. Kelsier then leaves, hoping the orb will protect him from Ruin's gaze, and thinks he needs to get the message to Spook or Marsh to give to Vin. That's the end of Chapter 3. Chapter 4. Kelsier was in the middle of nowhere when Preservation finally died. Kelsier can feel the tremble in the ground and chill up his spine. He searches for a thread of Preservation, calling out to him. He finds none. Preservation says goodbye to him in his mind. Preservation says that dying is lonely, and Kelsier says he's here for him, but Preservation says he isn't. Ruin is splitting his power, splintering him, and will eventually destroy him. Kelsier says no and takes out the orb. Preservation says the power isn't for him, but Kelsier says he'll get it to Vin. Kelsier breaks the orb with Naz's knife and hears Preservation's voice, stronger as the light washes over him. Preservation tells him to be better and that the hearts of men are not his toys, and Kelsier says he will do better. He also says to get the people underground if the end comes and to do what he can't, survive. So what do you think of Preservation's last conversation with Kelsier?
Informative.
Is this after or before he talked to Spook?
Oh, this is before he talks to Spook.
Oh, okay, so that... Well, it does come into play then, so...
So Kelsier then pulls out the strands of light. The power resists him at first, but eventually it flows into him, and the survivor of death ascends. Ruin rages in response, and Kelsier grins, wanting to rip Ruin apart, but he is unable to attack. Preservation's power still shied away from him and his murderous intent, refusing to hurt Ruin. Ruin laughs and easily pushes past Kelsier, saying that he's barely able to hold the power. Kelsier tries to acquaint himself with the power and can feel it resisting him and his ties to Ruin. He thinks that if he loosens his hold on it, it will get away and he won't be able to get it back. So were you surprised that Kelsier was able to take Preservation's power and ascend, even though apparently it's so against him and he's because of his ties to Ruin?
Not surprised, but I mean, kind of knew it was going to be like a temporary thing, anyways.
Yeah. I'm more surprised that he seemed to get a good grasp of it.
Yeah, that's what I was more surprised about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to use it pretty effectively, even though he wasn't
I'm like, I can use my voice right now,
Yeah, he basically has the same grasp on the powers you have on your speaking ability at the moment, Darkness.
Yeah, it's good.
So Kelsier sees what has happened to the physical realm, as he can now see into it, but soon he goes towards the people that he can sense have openings in their souls. He tries to whisper to them, but is unable to, causing Ruin to laugh and tell him that Preservation's power cannot open those gaps like Ruin's can. However, Kelsier does find that he can hear people now, even though he can't speak to them. Kelsier then sees Ruin's hold on the land, holding open the ash mounts and his control over certain people and the Koloss. He also found that Ruin kept him from doing anything with his power, but at least it meant Ruin had to act to counter him. He tries to counter some of Ruin's acts, but Ruin just bolsters himself. Kelsier then tries to get to Vin, shouting at her that there is another god as she doesn't seem to know about Preservation. Kelsier can see strings tying him to Vin, connecting him to her. He then sees in horror the spike of metal in Vin's ear, but Ruin pushes him back before he can shout at Vin about people being spiked with metal.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about how difficult it was for Kelsier to use Preservation's power?
Well, was it difficult?
Well, yeah, he says that he really, if you compare it to how to Vin in the third book, he struggles even more than Vin does, because Vin also gets countered by Ruin, but they're fairly close to being equal, whereas Kelsier is quite a bit weaker than Ruin at the moment.
Did you say the third book or
the third book? Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I feel like in some aspects he got a better grasp of it anyway.
I think he just had some more ideas just because he's been talking to Preservation.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So Kelsier is forced out of the city, limping. However, he can see Ruin bringing Marsh towards the city, and he tries to go to Marsh next. Ruin easily pushes Kelsier away, but Kelsier feels pride as he hears Marsh's thoughts about fighting Ruin. Kelsier can see that Ruin wants to protect what is happening in Fadrax, but that means he has left weaknesses elsewhere. And we move on to Chapter 5. Kelsier watches Ruin's plans, trying to find an opening. One of the places Ruin was neglecting was Urto, where Spook was. Ruin thought he had Spook dealt with, but Kelsier knew him. The small piece of Ruin that was there, telling Spook to kill, didn't notice Kelsier watching. Kelsier was surprised to notice that his lines of connection to Spook were stronger than they were to Marsh or Vin. Kelsier spoke to Spook, trying to push back Ruin's intent to kill with hope. Spook pulls the meadow out of his chest, and Ruin screams in denial. So what do you think about Spook's adoration of Kelsier creating such a strong connection to allow Kelsier to speak to him a bit and help him resist Ruin?
Told you he was there.
Repeat the question?
I said, what do you think about the fact that Spook's adoration of Kelsier created such a strong connection to allow Kelsier to speak to him a bit and thus help him resist Ruin?
It's because, he was insane once, Don't
So Kelsier can see the cracks in
A
Spook.
rubber room.
His wish for Kelsier to guide him, his faith in a pretend god. Kelsier whispers for Spook to help the city, to survive. Ruin then finally appears and sends tendrils of darkness into the city to start destruction and chaos, wanting to counter what Kelsier had done to help Spook. Kelsier is happy to see Sazed come up to Spook to help, even though he could hear the exhaustion and confusion in Sazed's thoughts. Spook slowly moves forward toward the city, and Kelsier walks with him, sharing his exhaustion and pain. He kept telling Spook to keep moving, somehow speaking to him through their connection. Beldre then arrives and also helps Spook keep moving. When they reach the burning building, Kelsier can hear Spook's thoughts about how he wasn't given a job by Kelsier. However, Kelsier tells him that he named him and he was his friend, and calls him Survivor as he weeps for what Spook has to do. Kelsier watches as Spook saves the city. So did you like that Kelsier was with Spook as he went to sacrifice himself to save the city? Found it kind of touching. It was a cute moment.
Yep. We all thought he didn't like him, but yeah.
Did you like that darkness moment between him and Spook?
I don't know. I feel like it was leading him on, but that's fine.
Spook, I gave you your name. Now
Damn.
use it.
I feel like it was a situationship, you know?
Oh God.
Okay.
Like, everything was already in place, and Kelsey was like, "Well, that's crazy. He really likes me that much. I might as well
Crazy?
use him, you
I
know?"
was crazy once.
Oh
Oh
my
my
god.
gosh. Chapter 6. Kelsier and Spook then end up in a half dream together, on a field of green grass. Kelsier tells Spook that he's
It's
almost
a little
dead.
date. It's a little date.
They get a cute little dream together. Kelsier tells Spook that he's almost dead, as he decides to try to eat a couple of blades of grass, because why not? Spook then says this isn't real, but Kelsier tells him that he is sort of a god now, and he needs someone who has cracks in their
Sort of a
soul,
God.
but have resisted ruin in order to be able to speak to them. Spook then says that he thought Kelsier's hatred is why he was strong, but Kelsier says he was strong like scar tissue, but stiff as well, that he prefers that Spook not need to hate like that. He also tells Spook that he's proud of him. Kelsier then tells Spook that Vin needs to know about the spikes and that she also has a spike in her. He tells Spook that if he remembers anything, it is to get people underground and to let Vin know about the spikes. Kelsier again insists about the metal spikes as Spook begins to fade as he wakes up. Kelsier's final words to Spook are that he's proud of him. So what do you think of Spook and Kelsier's little dream conversation?
Mostly Kelsier eating grass, but
Kelsier's just eating grass.
It's a salad. Okay.
no, that's lettuce. That's the difference between grass and lettuce.
Really?
Yeah.
I go
Yes.
outside and pick my lettuce all the time, you know?
Do you?
I didn't know you
Yeah.
had grass salads, Darkness. Chapter 7. Kelsier follows Gorodel through the ash, knowing that he likely would have killed Gorodel when he was alive due to working for the Lord Ruler. But now he was potentially going to save the world as he had the metal plate from Spook. Ruin laughs at Kelsier's attempt to get a message to Vin. Kelsier asks if Ruin ever played cards before he was a vessel, and that he liked card games where it was him, a deck of cards, and a mark watching him. Kelsier then watches as Marsh slaughters Gorodel. He watches as Marsh then reads the metal plate for Ruin. He forms a body and kneels in the ash, Ruin patting his shoulder and saying that this is how things were meant to be. Ruin then leaves and Marsh leaps off after him. Kelsier moves into the cognitive realm and thanks Gorodel, but Gorodel just says he failed before stretching into the beyond. So what do you think about Gorodel's brief meeting with Kelsier and him thinking he failed as he died?
Well, maybe he did fail his one mission,
Right.
and then somebody else had to make it. You know.
I mean,
make
technically
that
he got a message to Marsh who gets it to Vin.
Yes, but he failed because his mission was to give it to Vin, and he didn't give it to Vin.
I mean, it
So
eventually
he
gets to
did
Vin.
fail. No, but he did fail. So
It's not good
he's not wrong.
enough.
He's
It's
not
not
wrong.
good.
Just because somebody else came along and said, "All right, I'll make your failure a success," does not mean that he was successful. He failed. It's a failure.
Kelsier then watches as Vin goes back to Luthadel and begins fighting Inquisitors. However, with a whole murder... Also, I like how a group of Inquisitors is called a murder. So there's a whole murder of Inquisitors.
So is a group of crows.
I know.
So,
Inquisitors are just crows in disguise, obviously.
you know,
So yeah, there's a whole murder of Inquisitors, which is too much for her, and Vin was beaten to the ground. He hears Ruin asking about the ATM and realizes that Ruin isn't complete either, and that Preservation's plan could work. As Marsh
and this
breaks...
long to figure it out.
Yeah. As Marsh breaks Finn's arm, he pushes all of his power against Ruin and tells Ruin that the reason he always won at cards was because he could get people to choose the card he wanted them to. Then Marsh rips the earring out of Vin's ear. So what do you think about Kelsier's con and getting Marsh to read the message from Spook and having him help Vin?
Like I said, long con, pretty cool.
You meet that, Strictness?
Repeat it.
What did you think about Kelsier's con and getting Marsh to read the message from Spook and having him help Finn?
Right. I don't know. I think he's winging it, Loki.
I mean, I think Preservation was as well when he made his plan, yet then he couldn't remember it, so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why he inherited the, power.
Exactly. He's pretty much just taking upon what Preservation was doing, in all honesty.
So Kelsier then tells Ruin that he shouldn't have chosen the good brother to become an Inquisitor. He continues to
I
attack...
agreed wholeheartedly with that, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like, if you just took Kelsier, this would have gone in your favor.
He continues to attack Ruin and feels the power tremble for Vin as it reaches out for her. He feels Preservation's power being ripped from him. He feels the world, including the people to the south, and shouts that he's giving Vin the power as he lets go of Preservation's essence. Vin breathes in the mess as Ruin tears him apart.
Yeah, see, I found it crazy when he said that, when Kelsier says you should have taken me, basically you should have taken me instead of my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he caught you. How did he not do this already? Like, God.
Also, were you worried that Kelsier was going to die here as he gave the Preservation's power to Vin? No?
No, because we know.
At no
Because
point
we
was I
knew
worried.
Yeah, because we know he
Yeah.
talks to Seiza.
Yeah.
So chapter 8, Kelsier screams and feels like he is close to death. He wants to go, but at the same time he holds on, denying the force trying to pull him to the beyond. Eventually the stretching fades as Kelsier is able to refuse it after holding Preservation's power. Kelsier pulls himself out of the misty ground, knowing that he had been flung out of Luthadel and hours had passed. His body slowly reforms and the pain fades away. In the air were white and black tendrils as he walked until he found a war between men and Koloss. Kelsier thinks that he had seen Preservation's plan, and it was to burn away the Atium using Atium mistings. Kelsier could see the men fighting the Koloss using the Atium as Preservation had wanted. He also sees Vin fighting Ruin in the sky, using the powers that seemed to be more natural for her than it had been for Kelsier. He also thinks about how he lost his backpack and Naz's knife at some point when losing the power of Preservation. So what do you think about Preservation's plan coming together here?
We already know how it ends, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Plus, like, the fact that, like Mythic said, he struggled to even remember half his plan, so.
Yeah.
He still had it set up.
Yeah, but it was surprising that it was so, like, accurately, you know.
You made a good plan.
Thought out.
Without
I don't
realizing
know.
he made a good plan. I mean, he can see the future, so, you know.
Can he?
I mean,
Oh, yeah,
he showed Kelsier the future.
Yeah, all shards can see many, many possibilities of the future. He does say that it's very hard to interpret them, but
And to figure out which one's going to be right, I'm sure. But,
yeah.
like, you know, if you just make a plan that, you know, works for one reality, at least one reality will be okay.
So Kelsier then sees Marsh and Elend fighting and sees a burst of light come from Elend as he sees into all three realms at once, staring directly at Kelsier as his sword goes into Marsh's neck, and Marsh stabs Elend in the chest. Kelsier screams out a no and runs towards Elend, but Marsh beheads him.
This is probably my favorite part. This is probably my favorite part, not the beheading of Elend, but just the general, like, when he starts talking about how it's like, oh, Vin's gonna be super angry, and I'm like, I was thinking the same thing. Too bad it didn't happen.
So he watches as Vin's full attention goes to Elend, and he worries she'll break down, but she creates a spear of power and crushes against Ruin, suffocating him. The two powers end in an eruption of light, and Kelsier notices that no one is holding the mist any longer. So do you think Kelsier could have saved Elend in any way if he had got to him before he was beheaded, or do you think it was hopeless?
No. I don't believe he would have been able to save. Well, did he ever use that fucking spear? I don't remember.
I don't think he has a spear with him. He said he lost all his stuff.
Did he?
Yeah, he says when he lost the power of preservation and got like flung out of Luthadel, he says he lost all his stuff.
Oh right. Where'd that spear go though? I mean,
Well, he had a knife, not a spear.
No, the fucking
spear.
Was it the
orb? It's like the orb.
Oh, the spear! I was hearing spear, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know. No, remember he broke the orb in order to get preservation's power.
Did he?
Yes.
Yes.
That's how he was able to take preservation, because he used the orb, which is what the Irie wanted to do in order to take preservation's power. He broke it with Naz's knife, and then all the liquid, like glowing stuff that was inside it came out, and he was able to ascend. That's the only reason he was able to take preservation's power, because he wasn't connected enough to preservation initially.
Why did I remember it like preservation was like, here, my child, take my power?
That's what Kelsier does to Vin. I'm literally recapping the start.
Yeah, but I literally heard it. I was like, what? I was so confused.
God damn.
Oh my gosh.
Darkness doesn't listen to you.
He doesn't. I'll give him a pass because he's sick.
Why would you do that?
So Elend stumbles into the cognitive realm and is surprised to see Kelsier. Kelsier greets him and asks if his outfit is meant to look like a knockoff of the Lord Ruler. Elend says he hates Kelsier already. Which I just love that. I hate you already, dude. He then sees Sazed stumble over to Vin's body, and he notes that Sazed is the actual hero of Ages. Elend pulls Kelsier away.
Interesting. Because they're all the hero of Ages.
I mean, Sazed is the hero of Ages. Elend pulls Kelsier away as Sazed takes both powers, and Kelsier is shocked at how well they fit together. He's surprised that Sazed is so connected to Ruin, but Elend says that Sazed changed a lot in the last year, and that Ruin isn't just destruction. So what do you think about Elend and Kelsier's first proper conversation, even though it was pretty brief?
I mean, I thought it was funny because of the audiobook itself, but the conversation itself is just very brief. So
I forget you get like actual people doing voiceovers.
Yeah, he literally does the voice of Sazed so well, and like you can actually hear the tone that he's using. I love it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, their conversations are really like, hey, you look like a knockoff Lord Ruler. Oh my god, I hate you. You're so annoying. That's basically their conversation. Just like, why?
And then he's like, I hate you. And he's like, yeah, that turns to something later. And I'm like, oh my God, I love this dude.
Yeah, he says it like just turns to annoyance later. He's like, yeah, everyone hates me at first.
Get over it, don't worry.
Vin then comes into the cognitive realm, not stumbling like most. She embraces Ellen first and then greets Kelsier. She says he always did make his own rules. Vin embraces him and he weeps for the daughter he never had. Next, he sees Ruin's body come into the world, seeming confused and asking for a person named Vax. Kelsier initially punches him in the face, causing him to fall to the ground. The man just looks up at him before sighing and stretching into the beyond. So what do you think about Kelsier punching Atty?
Thought it was hilarious. He just punched 2 gods. Well, he tried to punch 3,
Right.
but he punched 2 gods.
Kelsier goes up to Vin, Ellen, and Sazed, as Sazed says that he has healed their bodies and they can go back to them now. Kelsier notices that Ellen is already stretching, and Vin says she doesn't think it works that way, before kissing Sazed on the cheek. Vin then takes Ellen's hand and also begins to stretch towards the beyond. Kelsier tells Vin to stay with him, but she replies that although he does love, he has a lot to learn about it, and has yet to understand it. Vin then thanks Kelsier.
Now go love Spook. He needs to love.
Vin then thanks Kelsier as Ellen continues to stretch away. She says he taught her about friendship, but that he also needs to learn a lesson. She asks how much of what he did was about love versus what he could prove. What was about him versus others? He replies that he doesn't know. Vin thanks him again and then follows Ellen into the beyond. So what do you think of Vin's final goodbye to Kelsier and her question to him about why he did everything?
Fitting, and she seems to have gotten very much more mature with her small amount of age she's gotten since Kelsier's death.
Low-key, it felt like, you know those like scenes where like dads let their like, girls go to college and stuff like that? And they're like right there next to the car packing their shit.
They're like, Dad, you gotta let me go.
He's like, never.
I can't do that. You're my baby girl.
Right?
You'll always be my baby girl.
It's funny because he'll never see her again until the tournament.
Tournament of Power. Tournament of Power.
Yeah, what also did you think about the whole, like, why did you really do things question? And him, like, not knowing.
She got very mature all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. But I meant more like, what do you think about, like, Kelsier's answer and, like, him not even knowing if he really did things for others or mostly just to prove himself?
Was this he didn't know?
I don't know. At least he's being honest with himself.
Honestly, I'd rather someone not know their reasonings, but like have like that subconsciousness of like, oh, I guess it worked out in a way I liked it to, rather than like I planned it all out. Preservation.
Yeah, it's good that you had the self-awareness to be like, yeah, I don't know why I did things.
Yeah.
So chapter 9.
Unlike you, Midnight, who says you plan every step.
I definitely plan everything. I know it all.
So you always plan to be late.
I'm not late. I've never been late.
Yeah, she was actually very early today.
Yeah, I was.
I meant with notes,
I wasn't late with notes either. I was a whole week early on notes.
And the other times?
Look, it's fine. Kelsier watches as the land is made.
It's fine.
Kelsier watches as the land is made anew. Oceans boil and spring up. Mountains form, forests grow, and deserts are created. He sees grass beneath his feet, and Maris flowers sprout around him. Saeson appears next to him and says that he hadn't expected this when joining Kelsier's crew. He also mentions that he doesn't think he can touch the beyond or bring people back from it. Kelsier says that's okay and asks Saeson to fix Spook's body and make him a Mistborn, which Saeson says he'll consider. But we know he does it, but he's like, I'll consider it.
I'll consider it.
Right.
Yeah.
That pissed me off so much. I don't know, bro. I just
you should have heard his actual voice when he was talking about it. Funnier.
Saeson then bows to Kelsier, and Kelsier asks him if he thinks there is a way for him to get to the physical realm again. Saeson replies that he doesn't think so, and Kelsier thinks that Saeson is a bad liar, even as a god.
Oh my god, that was my favorite part of that whole conversation. Can you bring me back? I don't think so.
So why do you think Saeson lied to Kelsier about Kelsier potentially going to the physical realm again?
Because he doesn't need to come back. He's a god already. If you put a god in the mortal realm, it would just, fuck everything up.
He's like, please don't come back, Kelsier. You could just hang out with me here.
Yeah, or you can hang out with Spook.
Honestly, maybe he's just lonely.
Yeah, maybe he just wants a friend. He's like, please don't go back to the physical realm.
I like you too much. Don't think too much into that, Kelsier.
Also, do you think we're gonna see Kelsier again in future Mistborn books?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see Spook again in future Mistborn books.
It's a shadow for a reason. They made the shadow thing a thing. Like, how are we not gonna see it?
Alright. The epilogue. We move to Spook's point of view, as he notes that people had insisted he live in a mansion, or at least a mansion compared to what others were living in, even though it made him uncomfortable. His room was small and muggy
Hello?
as...
I heard a voice.
I
Hello?
think that was on Darkness's background. Where was I? His room was small and muggy, as there was no glass, and if he left the window open, bugs got in. They also didn't have candles or lanterns, as they couldn't spare the resources. Breeze had been teaching him how to be a king, and Ham had been training him. So what do you think about Spook becoming the king of this new world?
Cool. So happy that King Spook is finally a thing.
We always knew he was going to be king, right? Now he has to be the next level.
He's got to be a god.
He's a king and he's a Mistborn. Currently.
He's gonna be the next god king.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. So he glances at his writing board, which had his list of things to do, along with a note about a spike that he had made from the blacksmith due to a dream he had. He spikes
Coolest fucking idea ever. I loved it. I was just like, the moment he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna jam this earring in my ear," I'm like, "Oh, this is about to be good."
He spikes himself with a small earring made from an Inquisitor spike, and suddenly Kelsier appears to him. He gasps and says that Vin killed him, but Kelsier insists that he's the real one this time. Kelsier says he knew his idea to spike Spook would allow him to talk to him properly. He says they can work together, which Spook just still seems shocked and scared by him. And Kelsier tells Spook that they are going to unravel the mysteries of the Cosmere together. And Spook says he thinks he's going to be sick. So what do you think about Kelsier subconsciously convincing Spook to spike himself?
Hilarious. Honestly, that had to take some time, to be honest.
I mean, it's been a little bit at least, because he's become king, he has his own house and everything. Like, they've obviously started setting up their new town and stuff.
He's obviously married to this woman now that, you know.
He could be. She's Queen Beldre.
Yeah. I'm kind of wanting to know about Breeze and, you know, his
Breeze
love, but
Breezy.
Breeze and Ham seem to be like the royal advisors.
yeah, no, but I mean, where's Breeze's love, man?
Oh yeah, him and Orion are still together.
Oh, you love that, huh?
I think I told you guys briefly that the at the end of the last book that Breeze survived, that his the main character is a descendant of him and Orion.
Yes. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they had to stay together, you know.
I mean, they at least stayed together enough to. I mean, we don't know anything more than they
have
had
one
descendants.
kid at least.
They had at least one kid, yeah.
Ironically, they had sex.
Well, I mean, we all know she was that power top, you know.
God.
She was like, "You're getting in this, Breezy, right now."
Jesus Christ.
I will riot your emotions.
Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine just going through so many emotions while you're, you know.
Oh my God.
So Kelsier continues to talk.
Yeah,
saying
Matt, can you imagine that midnight?
No. Kelsier continues to talk, saying that if he had been focused on the spikes before, he probably could have figured things out about them while alive. That he and Spook are going to figure out what he still doesn't know together. Spook asks why he should care, as he's worried this might not be the real Kelsier still. Kelsier replies that Spook is already halfway to becoming where the Lord Ruler was, and they have a bunch of Inquisitor spikes and nothing to do with them. Spook thinks about being immortal and asks what Kelsier gets out of this, to which Kelsier replies that he needs a new string to the physical realm. So
now go spike your wife.
So do you think that Hemalurgy is safe now that Ruin is no longer around and Zace has both powers, or do you think Hemalurgy could still be like dangerous?
Well, Hemalurgy is still gonna be, in general, like a murderous thing.
I mean, yeah, it's still murder, but like one of the also big issues with Hemalurgy was that Ruin could then just like control you with it.
But once again, it's murder, so it's still bad.
Yeah, I meant more like the danger of using it and then being like having your body taken over.
No, I think it's
you have your body taken over by Kelsier, and I mean, how
I was gonna say,
how bad could that be? Kelsier. Yeah, how bad could that be? I mean,
I want Kelsier in me. Wait,
I bet you do, Darkness. It's okay. We all have a little Kelsier in us.
Midnight.
I mean, after all, he created the whole world. You know,
knowing what you know.
Oh God.
I'm like, further on.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to take a spike?
Oh, good question.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want to like. Okay, first thing, I have a huge fear of like needles and things like wounds and
it's
stuff.
It's not a needle though; it's a big spike.
Yeah, no. I first of all, I just
gotta lose your eyes. You'll be fine.
Personally, I don't think I could do it just because of the whole you have to spike yourself and stab metal into yours.
Oh, actually, you could just do a little earring.
I mean, to be fair, I do have my ears pierced.
So exactly. So you already have metal in your body. Yeah, you'll be fine.
But the thing is, though, I don't know if like an earring will. Oh no, I guess because Finn's earring did give her power too, so.
And so did his. He just
It's-
made an earring and stabbed it into his own ear, right?
It depends what power I could get from an earring. I think I'd take one spike. I think I could take one spike. I don't think I'd want to be like pierced all over. I think
So it's not inherently evil darkness.
So it should be fine, you know, if they spike themselves.
As long as they keep it at moderation, like anything else.
All right. Overview questions. What did you
I
think?
want to see how they get.
We might be able to see that spiked horse, darkness.
Oh my gosh.
I want that hemalurgic horse.
There are horses in the future. There are still horses. So what do you think about Kelsier's story during the Well of Ascension and Hero of Ages overall? What did you think of this whole...
Oh my god, if you spike a wait, no, that's not how it works.
Darkness is all obsessed now with the horse spike.
I mean, no, if you spike a horse, you can give it speed. It could be the fastest horse ever.
What if you do it instead of just spikes? What if you embed armor into it?
I don't know.
I mean, it's metal. Putting into a body, yeah. I mean, maybe.
Does
it has to be in certain
specifically have to be in the shape of a spike?
No, it has to be in certain spots. That's all.
It has to be in certain spots, I believe.
Wait, so what? Is
Certain
one of your
spots have
ears
to
a
be in the
fucking spike area?
Yes.
Apparently.
Just spike their ears. Oh, but it depends, cause each each body
area
has to be
gives you
spiked in a
different
different place, cause they're different.
Yeah, it depends on the powers. What powers can you get from?
No, not only that, cause the colas have to be like spiked differently, no?
But I mean, Kolas and Chondro were a little different though.
Exactly. So a horse and a human are not going to be spiked in the same place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So I'm saying, so maybe if you spike, like its upper thigh, you can put some speed in that thing.
Like the cars with the fucking spikes on the wheels.
Yeah. Give your horse some curb feelers.
That's some real horsepower.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Oh,
the overview
man,
questions.
we really need to stop horsing around.
Oh my gosh. The overview questions. What did you think about Kelsier's story overall during for those 2 books?
Nay, midnight, nay.
You know what I just thought? So clearly I was right about the horse and like how it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've been hinting at it this whole time.
What horses?
Chelsea is gonna see Mare again.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Can we do the overview questions? Can we get off the horses?
No, the horse topic is the best topic.
Oh my god.
Right?
Why everybody shows up to these things so we can talk about
all the animals like you can spike and stuff. Like...
I mean, we have been talking about giving powers to horses since the start. Horses with breath. Horses as Elantrians. Horses with spike.
And the Lantern horse, can you imagine?
Oh my god. They can't write though. Could they do much besides just be glowy?
I mean, they could mark stuff in the ground with their hoof.
What if you do horseshoes in the shape of seance? Aeons? I forgot what they're called.
Aeons. The seance are the orbs.
Or horseshoes to give them spikes. They are metal.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Nails do go into that anyway, don't they?
Man, we got this, Darkness. We're gonna have our first hemalurgic horse.
I can imagine Mythic and I just in the background with scalpels and
Oh my gosh.
a horse on a metal table.
We got this. There's some person underneath it. We're just jamming spikes into them.
Do you feel it now?
Do you feel the power, horse?
Do you think the spook is going to become immortal?
Yes.
No.
I think him and his wife are going to be immortal.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's an elementary. He's going
he's a
spiking route. So
yeah, if he can get an ATM spike. The only problem is can he find an ATM spike, or is he going to kill someone to get an ATM spike?
I mean, if Saze is back now, right? Or Saze is the 2 of them together. We've already kind of briefly spoke about it. Does that mean that Lerasium and ATM come back into the world?
Well, they're not going to be gone because the powers are still there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So there definitely is going to be a stash somewhere.
Or does it create a new metal, maybe?
Remember, there's either way, all the ATM's been used up, and
but
it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's going to take a couple hundred years, they said, to come back. So is Spook going to be able to survive long enough to get ATM?
All he has to do is figure out how to survive a couple hundred years.
But didn't that one dude give that one? I don't know. Remember, who the fuck did he give that beat of ATM to?
He gave it to Elend, and I'm pretty sure Elend used it. Yeah, he gives it to Elend.
You're talking about the guy who had the you're talking about the guy.
Yeah, Yeoman. Yeoman gave it to Elend because he's like, I never found much use for this.
Yeah, Yeoman.
There's got to be ATM somewhere, you know.
I'm sure he'll
But the
find
thing
something.
is,
There's gotta be,
yeah,
like,
he needs
some,
to
but-
get either a spike that already had ATM, but as far as we know, none of the Inquisitors had it. So he has to kill a ferrochemist, and then also somehow obtain ATM.
What happened to the Lord Ruler's ATM that he used on his, in his body?
I mean, yeah, if they can find we don't know what happened. I think they said Ellen sold the Lord Ruler's like metal mines for money in like
No
the second
fucking
book.
way.
I'm pretty sure they say that at some point that he sold them for
Hey, well,
money.
there you go.
You could
Now
just
maybe
find that.
now go.
They need to
Yeah, go
find
find the
them.
guy who bought it. Yeah, who
But they still
bought
need
it,
ATM,
and
yeah.
you'll.
And then they just
And
need to find a whole bunch of
all you gotta do is
ATM.
murder him and
Didn't-
take it.
What's his name? Marsh. He never had a ATM one.
As far as we know, he did not have
Yeah,
a
it wasn't
immortality
stated.
spike. He had like pretty much every other spike, but not that one.
Just imagine that man. Like I don't know if you guys have ever seen the people who like pierced all of their body. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I was gonna say, imagine how creative they're gonna get with all the piercings.
You know?
Also, talking about Marsh, do you think Marsh is still alive, and do you think any other Inquisitors will be made in the future?
Marsh is
Yes,
going to space.
yes.
The fuck you mean?
Yeah, March is on the moon. What are you talking about?
There is no moon!
There is no moon.
What moon?
We went over this.
He's on the moon. God.
There's no moon! Which
he's
moon?
definitely on
Whose
the
moon?
He's definitely on the moon.
He's on
We're
Nelson's
really
moon.
manifesting this fucking moon, huh?
I mean, if there's no moon, how do the tides work?
I don't know, but there's no moon.
Well,
I
there's
feel
like
there's a
there's light and darkness.
yeah, exactly. So there has to be a moon.
There's literally
Well-
no moon.
There's a moon.
There is no
There's
moon.
some-
I've shown you the solar system
there
picture.
somewhere.
There's no moon.
It's there somewhere.
There's no moon.
He's like, if darkness, then moon.
You realize though, way back when we used to think the world was flat. All right, so I mean, and some people still think.
Chris would know
But-
if there was a moon. People
Well,
would
Chris
be
is
able to.
dead.
that.
Chris
exactly.
isn't dead. What are you talking
Chris
about?
is totally dead.
That's why she can't answer the phone.
She got her head blown off when she accidentally shot herself.
She got on the allergic horse, you know.
Anyways, we are now going to do live reads for both the next
That was-
two system essays because we're going to be reading two stories.
Wait,
Next
that was
week.
all the questions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was like 2 questions.
I had 3, but
Yeah,
you guys
no,
pretty much
no,
ignored me for the
we
first
kept
one.
we kept
You
it
kept
going
talking
for
over
a
me with
long
the
time with the
horses.
horse. Yeah, we enjoyed that horse conversation a lot more. You know? The
Right.
questions are very boring.
Just
Our
make
question-
questions about
Our questions about the horse is way better.
Yeah.
Anyways, so here is picture for.
Oh my god, what if you spike a dolphin through the blowhole?
Oh, God, I think it would die.
That'll be fine. It's gotta be like the healing one from
Oh my ATM.
Chemi.
Oh goodness.
So now we're going to be talking about Taldane, which is the planet where Chris is from.
Yay!
There's
We
2
get to
suns?
find out.
There are 2 suns. It is a dual sun system.
That bitch is burning, I just know it.
Yeah, it's desert. I'm sure.
Oh my god, there's no nighttime.
No, it's a tidally locked planet, or tidally locked. I don't know how to say it. The
what?
sun, the planet basically one side always faces the small sun and one side always faces the big sun.
So you either get, oh my god, it's burning, or oh my god, it's burning.
So if you remember, I believe Chris says in one of the earlier essays that she's spent a lot of time on the day side of Taldane, which the day side
But-
is the side facing the large sun, because the smaller
Wait,
sun
what?
basically makes a twilight type lighting.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna read it.
Is it because of the ring around it?
I believe it's partially because of that, and also
Ring
because of the
around the
size of the
rosy.
sun.
The thighs?
The size.
Yeah, the thighs. No,
Oh, I was like,
definitely those
that
thick thighs.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
definitely
Anyways,
those thick thighs.
the Taldane system. Taldane is one of the most bizarre planets in the Cosmere, a fact that, in turn, feels bizarre to me. Having grown up on Taldane's dark side, there is a part of me, even all these years later, that instinctively feels that the way of this planet is the normal, natural one. Taldane is a tidally locked planet trapped between the gravitational forces of 2 stars in a binary system. The smaller star is a weak white dwarf that, enveloped in a particulate ring, is barely visible from the dark side of the planet. Those of us originating from this side of the planet consider a uniform darkness, what most might consider a twilight similar to the sky just after a sun has set, to be the natural state. Our planet is not grim, and assumptions otherwise are simple ignorance. The ultraviolet light that shines through the ring causes a certain reflective luminescence in much of the planet and animal life. Indeed, the few visitors to the planet that I've met often found it somewhere between striking and garish. On the other side of the planet is Dayside, which faces the larger of the two stars, a blue-white supergiant around which the dwarf orbits. The sun is a dominating fixture of Dayside, which is primarily a vast sandy desert, with most of the flora and fauna living beneath the surface. For years we assumed that our shard, Autonomy, had invested only Dayside, through the sunlight itself. We know now it is not as simple as this, though the mechanism is best explained under those assumptions. The investiture beats down from the sky and is absorbed by a microflora that grows like a lichen on the surface of the sand, giving it its brilliant white color when fully invested, or a deep blackness when the investiture is depleted. Giving water to the tiny planet causes a chain reaction of sudden growth, energy, and chromatic transition. Certain people can control this reaction using the water from their own bodies to forge a brief cognitive bond. They can draw investiture in very small amounts, directly from the spiritual realm, and use that to control the sand. Though the effect is dramatic, the actual power used is quite small. This is a magic more about finesse than raw strength. Dayside is home to two prominent cultures, while Darkside is more hospitable and varied. The flora and fauna of both sides are remarkable, though currently prospective visitors are, unfortunately, unable to experience them directly. Autonomy's policy of isolationism in recent times, in direct contrast to her interference with other planets, I might add, has prevented travel to and from Taldane for many, many years, a fact of which I am all too aware. So first of all, we learned that the shard of Taldane is called Autonomy. So what do you think Autonomy is like, considering its name?
When I heard the name, I was thinking more of machines.
So also, what are your thoughts on the fact that the sunlight is invested and the magic system using sand and investiture directly from the spiritual realm?
All I can think of is Gaara from fucking Naruto.
I was thinking of sandbenders from Avatar.
Or that too. Yeah, there you go. Same concept
Yeah, I
that I'm
think
thinking of.
Mythic said a while ago, he's like, oh, I hope there's like a sand one like Gaara. And I'm just like thinking, well, Taldane has sand magic.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure when I said that, I was like, there needs to be like an elemental thing, like where they're using like the elements of the like Avatar, pretty much.
Yeah, you said that separately as well. You'd also brought up Gaara specifically.
So is that another ring around the big sun?
Let's see, sand.
I don't think so. I think that's just supposed to be like the like kind of size of the sun.
Also, does the planet turn?
The sun has a ring.
Yeah. So there's the particular ring around this small sun. So basically, the planet does orbit the large sun, but the small sun also orbits, and so the two kind of like follow with each other, and like the sides always, because of the gravitation from the two, the day side always faces the big sun, and the dark side always faces the small sun.
I only understood the last part, so I'm gonna stick with it doesn't move.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because
like the sides facing the
the sides, what sides face don't move, but it technically does orbit the large star.
Yeah, exactly. But it always stays on the same side.
Yeah.
But
so I don't think there's ever any seasons.
Like we're the center of the universe on the Earth, right? And everything rotates around us.
Obviously.
Oh, there's a solution to that.
What, to rotating around us?
To them not having to face the other sun. They all just gotta run in one direction. They don't rotate the sun. I mean the planet. The power of friendship.
But the powers of like sand and shit like that makes a lot more sense though for a planet that has two suns. Like because
it pulls it from the cognitive realm, no?
But what I'm saying though is like the planet would be sand in general because everything would be hot.
Yeah, they say basically anything alive on the I think the day side, because it's also a what are they called, super giant or something like that. That technically they burn less hot, I believe. So it's not like it's like mercury levels of hot. So like you can still survive on the planet, but on like Dayside. But like it is like it's hot. It's quite hot. It's like like living in a desert, like on Earth.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of imagining all these people like very bundled up, so that when they sweat, it accumulates inside their clothes and makes them cooler.
Mm-hmm. And they also said there's a lot of stuff like beneath the surface of the sand and stuff like that.
There's like an
underground city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then Darkside is obviously a lot more varied because it's a lot more hospitable towards life.
So what you're saying is the rich people live on the big sun and the small people live on the small sun. Or I mean, the poor
on the
people
side
live
facing.
on the small sun.
Yeah. the sand magic is mainly sand magic, so I don't think there's many people who use.
Wait, they don't have like water magic and all the other magics?
No, they just have sand
Just
magic.
sand?
It's just sand
Well,
magic.
I assume the water magic would come from multiple moons.
Yeah, also, so what are your thoughts on Autonomy isolating her planet from people visiting? So somehow Autonomy has stopped people from being able to travel
she destroyed her
to
own
it.
well.
Bro, there's another ring around the big sun, I'm telling you. I'm
destroyed-
joking.
She destroyed her own well? Is that what you said?
I don't know if she destroyed it, but she somehow, like, blocked it from being,
Blocked
like...
it.
Yeah, she somehow, like, kept
Maybe
it from
that's
being
what
transversal.
maybe that's what Hoyd's trying to do, get here by using that. Wait! But Hoyd has to be in this. So he has to have gotten here somehow.
Well, I believe in Warbreaker, briefly, you know, when he's telling the stories to Ciri, he uses a whole bunch of different, like, little, like, items that he sprinkles around. I believe there is a white and black sand that he uses at one point, and that's a little
Which is where he
reference
got
to
it from
this. Yes. So he probably was here at some point, or at least traded with someone who's been here at some point.
But what I'm saying is if Autonomy or whatever that's like, blocked off passage, how is he going to get here for this book?
He's not. It's
Wait.
a short story, no?
This is a short story, yeah, so he does not show up.
What? You said he'd be in everything.
I said every main book.
You said everything.
I said every main book. But yeah, so he does not show up.
Come on, Darkness.
Do
Gaslight her with me. It
do they
doesn't
not
work
have a
if
main
I'm
book
the
for
only
this?
one.
Do we not have what? Sorry, Darkness?
A main book for this?
So White Sand is technically a graphic novel. I have not obtained the graphic novel. There is a prose version, so like a written, like, normal version of the graphic novel. So Darkness, you'll be able to... Mythic will only hear the written version, but you'll be able to see both the graphic novel section as well as the written version. They have both
We'll
in the
get the
actual
graphic
book.
novel. Fuck it.
You guys are free to read the graphic novel at
Pictures.
any point if you would like. I don't have it listed as like something we're gonna do because I've heard that there's been like a lot of back and forth about with Brandon and the artist and him not being super happy with how some things turned out. I think I don't know. I've kind of just left it as not part of what we're going through. Besides this one short story. So if you guys want to ever find the graphic novels, you're free to do that in your own time. I do know Chris is a character in the graphic novel, so you can learn a little bit more
Our
about Chris.
gun wielding
Yeah.
adventure. Got it.
Gun reading scholar.
No adventure.
Yeah.
Lord
Also,
of the
my last question here is: it mentions that Autonomy is interfering with other planets. Do you think she's interfered with any planets that we have seen yet, or just planets we haven't?
She's the one that destroyed Dominion and Devotion.
What do you think,
She
Darkness?
was,
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Mythic?
Oh, I was gonna say she's a major player in how they were destroyed. I'm sure.
No, she interfered with the Warbreaker one.
Yeah, that's why we don't have a second book.
That whole planet actually just got nuked because of Autonomy after book 1. All right. Did you guys have any other thoughts about Taldane, or should I move on to Threnody, which is the place with all the cognitive shadows?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. Let me get you the star chart for the Threnodite system.
Wait, if Chris is from Taldane, right?
Yeah. So she's from the dark side of Taldane, and then apparently she spent a lot of time on the day side as well.
But if it's isolated, she can't get back though.
Yeah, that's why she says at the very end. She literally says, yeah, so Autonomy has prevented others to travel to and from Taldane for many, many years, a fact of which I am all too aware. So yeah, she can't get back to her home planet currently. So it sometimes since she left, travel has been blocked off by Autonomy.
I'm just kind of really curious on what planet Hoyd's from.
Well, remember we mentioned that it's called.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like, I want to know
what it's like. Yeah.
Planet. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know very much about Yolan at all currently.
Like at all? Okay.
Yeah, because the book that takes place on it isn't out yet.
So I'll never get an answer on it. Got
it. The Threnodite system. The Threnodite system is a site warped by an ancient conflict. Long ago, soon after the Shattering, Odium clashed with and mortally wounded the Shard Ambition here. So this is a new Shard name that you guys haven't heard before, Ambition. Ambition would later be splintered, though that final act took place in a different location. The direct clash between the two shards of Adalnasium had a profound effect on the planet of this system. Though the actual battle took place in the vast space between planets, and though the true contest happened mostly in other realms, the ripples of destruction and change washed through the system. Investigations into how this changed the other planets of the system have been fruitless, as none of them have perpendicularities to allow physical visitation. Fortunately, I have personal access to someone from Threnody, the third planet in the system. Judging by the records that Naz has provided, I have concluded that some measure of investiture must have existed on this planet before the battle between shards. However, the waves of destruction, carrying ripped-off chunks of Ambition's power, twisted both the people and the planet of Threnody. The planet is home to 2 separate continents. The larger of the 2 has been abandoned to something known as the Evil, a force that even Naz can speak of only in vague terms. A creeping darkness, a terrible force that consumed the entirety of the continent, feasting upon the souls of men. I do not know how much of this is metaphoric and how much is literal. Expeditions sent from the smaller continent to explore have vanished, and the place is dangerous to visit even in the cognitive realm. The smaller continent is a frontier, mostly unexplored and unnamed, with several bastions of civilization. I have visited one of the largest of these, and even it feels unfinished, set up haphazardly by refugees fleeing across the ocean, lacking some basic necessities. They focused on making it a new fortress first, and a home second. This makes sense as the people there live in constant fear that the Evil will find a way across the ocean. Or perhaps they fear the spirits of the dead. People on Threnody are afflicted with a particular ailment that, upon death, sometimes turn them into what we call a cognitive shadow. I will leave aside the nature of whether or not a cognitive shadow is actually the soul of the person. This is a question for a theologian or a philosopher. I can, however, explain what is happening magically. A spirit infused with extra investiture will often imprint upon that very power. Much as the Spren of Roshar becomes self-aware over time, because of people's focus on the surges as being alive, this excess investiture can attain the ability to remain sapient after being separated from its physical form. Locally, they think of these things as ghosts, though really they are instantiations of self-aware, well, in this case, barely self-aware, investiture. This is an area deserving of more research. Unfortunately, visiting the planet is difficult, as there is no stable perpendicularity, only very unstable ones that cannot be predicted easily, and have a somewhat morbid origin. That is Threnody. First of all, what are your thoughts on the shard Odium attacking and mortally wounding Ambition?
That's like, what? A shard war?
Mm-hmm. So basically this shard, named Odium, basically came and just, decided to kill Ambition. And so Odium is another kind of, word trait thing. It means a general or widespread hatred or disgust directed towards someone as a result of their actions. So it's hatred, disgust, loathing. That's what odium means. Brandon has specifically said that he chose the word odium specifically and not hatred, because it has more of a passion towards the hatred than just normal hatred.
Yeah. What did it attack again?
Ambition. So Ambition was this other shard. So now we know of 3 shards that have been shattered: Devotion, Dominion, and Ambition.
Okay.
So basically what you're saying is odium or whatever is ruin in a greater form.
So
He actually did what Ruin was.
Imagine if Odium and Ruin had formed one shard together instead of Preservation and Ruin. I would have just been hatred and destruction.
Imagine if they made a fucking planet.
Jesus Christ, that would be like hell. They just create hell.
Would make a planet. I think they would go around destroying them.
Yeah, I don't think they would even make their own. They just go around killing everyone. So what do you think about the fact that these pieces of ambition have twisted the people and investiture of the planet?
Well, I'm assuming that's what caused the shadows or whatever, right?
Yeah, so basically whenever anyone dies, any Threnodite dies, they become a cognitive shadow, but they're not as aware as Kelsier is. They're all fucked up.
I'm assuming it's a preservation move.
Is that what Darkness said pretty much about this place? Pretty much.
I'm assuming it's a preservation move. You know, where he was giving everyone elemency and stuff. So with that last ditch efforts of that fight with what's his name over there.
Yeah. So we don't even know if technically Ambition was living on Threnody, because they mentioned that Odium and Ambition fought in like the general vicinity of Threnody, but not on Threnody. So it might have been that just like because that was where Ambition got shattered, Threnody just happens to have chunks of its investiture, but we don't know if Ambition even had its own planet at all.
So this might not even be its planet.
Yeah, it just might have been a place that happened to be near it when it got killed by Odium.
Well, it's its planet now.
Yeah, it's its planet now, but it might not have been originally. Like, it might have not been doing anything to the people there.
Oh, it might have been like on the other planets that are shown.
Yeah, it could have been. Apparently, they don't know what's happening on the other planets because they can't get to them currently. Because they don't have, like, rocket ships. Well, yeah, because they don't have rocket ships. Like, in the space age, they could probably get there, but, like, their only direct way of travel is through perpendicularity, so if a planet doesn't have a perpendicularity, you can't get there.
Why are we not in the space age yet? Like in real life?
In real life? I don't know.
Ethic questions.
Because people would rather have war.
You know what? Yeah, what the fuck?
More like who are we willing to send up there?
I mean, we've sent people to like the moon and stuff. It's just like
yeah, but who are we willing to send to planets far off to live the rest of their lives?
I'm sure there'd be people who'd be willing to do it.
I'm sure there would, but I'm saying who are we willing to do so for? Is what I'm saying.
I'll send Midnight.
Because so if you have thousands of people, but you can only give 10 of them that, who do you choose?
Well, I think you have to choose people who would be able to like survive out there. You have to focus on people who like are survivalists and also maybe scientists who are able to like send.
Would it matter though?
Back.
They're probably not coming back.
Well, no,
I mean, depending if they can send information back or not.
They're definitely not coming back.
All we need is some people who are capable of like sending information. That's literally all we need.
And that
just send a bunch of them.
And that can copulate, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd have to send people like that aren't too old to like healthy people who are healthy who probably won't spread like genetic disease too much and like
if you send old people, they can feed the younger ones.
Oh my god!
Cannibalism.
You gotta survive somehow.
But eventually, they have to continue to live on. Like their legacy has to continue. So you have to have somebody who is able to continue a legacy. Because if you just continue to send people from Earth over there, first off, that's a lot of money. Second off, that's a lot of just investiture that you really don't want to go down.
Yeah, you send like 20 to 40-year-olds.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the ones that are fucking like rabbits anyways.
Anyways, back to Threnody.
Unless they're midnight, and then, you know.
Oh, God. What are your thoughts on the fact that this larger continent has been abandoned to the evil? And do you think the evil is just these, like, cognitive shadows, or do you think there's something more going on?
Oh my god, it would be cool if it's just, like, Elantra's push for shadows. No, there's definitely more. Because I doubt people just being, like, shadows is going to be that big of a, like, negative thing.
So you think there's something more then? Do you think there's something more mythic, or do you think it's just the cognitive shadows?
I'm sure there's plenty more. I'm sure we haven't researched everything.
And so we also learned that Naz is from Threnody, which you deal with a lot of cognitive shadows in Threnody, so that's probably why he's so like uptight about the whole cognitive shadow thing.
About fucking our cognitive shadow who just decided he was gonna, do his own thing.
Yeah. Are you excited to learn some more potentially about cognitive shadows in this story?
How did Kelsier become a cognitive shadow again?
He became a cognitive shadow by going into the well before he faded into the beyond. So basically, he invested himself heavily.
So what if, like, that is that one god's planet? Because what if it has to do with the well on that planet?
They also mention, so the wells are called perpendicularities. And so they mention how that there's not, like, this one perpendicularity that just, like, stays in the same place on this planet. It moves around and pops up, and it's, like, really erratic. So
hard to find.
Are they all in the shape of a well?
I think they generally coalesce as like a pool of water. But yeah, so those are going to be our two. We're going to do the two stories. We're going to do White Sand, which is the Taldane story, and then Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell is the Threnody story.
Lovely.
Very long title. Yeah, Forests of Hell sounds fun, right?
And hey, I live it every day. So
what if it's like Autonomy's fucking with Threnody?
You think Autonomy's also fucking with that planet?
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible.
Everything's possible.
I'm just saying because it would make more sense for them two characters to be tied up if they are.
Yeah.
But yes.
So that's it for next time. So yeah, just read both of those stories all the way through. For
Wait, oh my
next
god, they
week.
have guns. They have guns, right?
On Taldane?
Just not really.
I mean, yeah, Chris had a gun. Darkside at least
I mean,
has guns.
that-
We don't know about
First off, that is
Dayside.
we don't know that though. She could have
What if
found
she
the
just
gun somewhere
stole it?
else.
That's true. She
Yeah,
could have
that's
gotten the
what-
gun somewhere else.
Yeah,
No, but Midnight just confirmed it, so.
exactly. Well, I mean, that's exactly what.
I will
happened,
say,
but yeah.
considering that the story's called White Sand and it's about the sand magic, it all does happen on Dayside, and Chris is originally from Darkside, so we don't get to really see Darkside in the story.
I mean,
We
I
had
see
to
the
see
dark
it at
side.
all?
I see the dark side every day. So
I don't know if there's actually any parts of any of his stories that take place on Darkside currently.
But
I
I'm
don't know if
literally only interested in the dark side.
I don't know if the graphic
Wait.
novel contains anything about Darkside or not. As I said,
I don't
haven't
want
read the
that
graphic
fucking
novel.
daytime shit. Like,
Anyways, so yeah, thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
I.